This is just a quick look at Albert Rakowski's work. These are just a few books that I have that I wanted to showcase. Albert's got his stuff on sale through the rest of February, so if you're interested, I'll put a link below to his stuff on drive-thru. I'm going to start with Ashen Void. This is a setting. It's a system-neutral setting, and as a setting, this is not like a lot of setting books where you can expect a lot of lore and things like that. Albert's work is really imaginative, and he largely gives you things like hints of what is there or what's not there. This is probably my favorite of his books. The Ashen Void is kind of like this blighted land, this wasteland of a world, and there's lots of unique things with it. I would use this with OD&D, and how I guess I would describe this world is kind of a purgatory, kind of a place that your player characters might find themselves, either if they were to travel through a portal to a new world, or perhaps if there was a TPK, the player characters wake up in this world and find themselves here. So those are a couple of possibilities. A lot of this stuff is just random tables. So he starts off with the words, and these are kind of rumors that, again, hint at what's there. They're not definitive, and you get to decide what they mean and how they apply. The first one here is kind of important. I think we died and woke up here. I think we're all dead. We can still die here. I want to know what happens if we die here. And there's kind of like this weird kind of sense of humor about it. And each of these things kind of references things that you find later in the text. But the player characters could start with a number of these rumors in hand, or maybe just one. You could roll, so 1 through 50. The world has become an enemy of mankind. The transformed ones are, in fact, those who have found absolution. So there's a sense of getting out of this world, like there's a way out somehow, and that's the central riddle behind the setting. There's a section here that kind of corresponds to, I don't want to say character creation, but it says roll 1d100 to determine where you were born, or where you appeared out of nowhere. It isn't said that you were born at all. So these are kind of like little backgrounds for characters. You might start in the north, or be one of the nomads of the west, or the Ashen people, or come from the inner cities or the outer cities, or the mud flats. And they give little kind of things here like ice, mountain lore, beast lore, things that you might be skilled in because of where you come from. There's not mechanical kind of heft to this, but it just kind of gives you a lot of flavor and ties you to the world as a player character. If any of your stats are exactly 13, you can roll to get a curse. It's kind of, again, gives some kind of like strange flavor to the world. Then it kind of describes the human settlements, the inner cities, the outer cities. This is kind of a wasteland world. It's kind of like Tecumseh meets Mad Max. The inner cities kind of remind me of a Tecumseh kind of vibe, and the outer cities kind of remind me of, Bartertown, that kind of sense of it. Different encounters for the inner cities and the outer cities, for the mud flats. The city of Zoresh, which is like a junk city. The Holy Ruins. And then the tomb cities. I'm going to take a quick look at the map here just to kind of give you a sense of what this looks like. The map itself is very, again, it's a sketch. The idea behind this is there's a rumor that this used to all be a sea, where the mountains were islands, and the sea drained, and a darkness came, and the Holy Ruins have a city there that's cloaked in darkness, and there's a gate there that's guarded by what we call the angels. And the tomb cities, there used to be like ancient civilizations up there at the top, and there are guardians there. There are nomads in the west. The eternal pillars have secrets kind of carved into them. There are giants buried in the north. There's all kinds of things. There's a series of adventure hooks here to kind of get you started. the tomb cities. Each of these things are just kind of like little descriptions. Renath Kardai is the kind of holy ruin city, and it's like entirely encloaked in darkness. Tribes of the wastes, hirelings and mercenaries, unusual professions. There's a little monster section here, nightmares incarnated. These have a fire on the velvet horizon kind of feel to them, so they're not just, there's no stats here. Here's the Nile Warlock. But they're suggested, like kind of just a brief kind of hints at what these things could be, and they're kind of more horrific because of that. And each of these things are kind of tied into the world and the lore. We get to the trials. The trials are kind of the unique way that leveling works in this land, where the world kind of is trying to keep people in a state of like lost memory. Like they don't want them to remember who they were, and they don't want them to become to progress. So when you're the first party member who reaches level 3, Sigmund the Roach goes out and finds them. And there are trials. There's like you have to defeat these beasts or these creatures that will come out after you. At 6th level, Morkan the Tormentor will come out after you. Kilpafta, the goat, will appear at level 9. But only for those who are not wicked. It will not come for the wicked ones. The goat will not come for the wicked ones. The scorpion will go them. And in the very end, should your party become high level, there is one guardian angel which will, seek you out. And there's kind of like gives a description of how they'll attack. Again, there's no mechanics around these things. These are just kind of like loose suggestions. The angels here are kind of like these extra dimensional beings. Not real angels or fallen angels, but kind of like extra plano creatures. And there's kind of a generator here for what they look like, or what their powers or their flesh might be here. Magic in this world is kind of different and weird. So instead of scrolls or wands, you might have bones or antlers. These are the containers for magic. Magic is risky. Vanity and magic is still possible, but critical failure during spell-related checks and saving throws may block access to some spell slots until appropriate cleansing rituals have been performed. Empty spell slots can be occupied by evil spirits and ghosts of the past. You may become possessed if you have empty spell slots. So the idea is like you walk around kind of loaded with full spell slots. And should you cast magic from your mind, you may attract something to fill it. And here's a couple just kind of, there's bone magic and antler magic. But it makes kind of magic strange and unusual. The fossils here kind of give an indication of like hints or secrets about the world, things you might be able to find out. Different poisons. Here's the gate at Renath Kardai. Some different biomes or settings. The Maze of the Mists, Phantasmal Gardens. These are things you could kind of, build out. There are no maps here. There's not dungeon maps, but these are things that you could build out yourself. So, the corpse plundering tables. These are kind of like I search the body kind of tables. But you could use them for, should your player characters find themselves in this land, this could be a good way to generate what equipment they have on them at the time. And your adventure hooks. So, super evocative setting, worth a look. And the other one I'm kind of want to look at, these next 3 are kind of related to the same setting, to a different setting, but all the same. These are the Towers of Krshal, the Legends of Krshal, and the Tombs of Krshal. And Krshal is kind of like a strange post-industrial kind of city. It's kind of reminds me of like Electric Bastion Land mixed with Phantom of the Opera. There's these kind of like Doctor Who difference engines that were kind of like these AI-generated machines kind of controlling everything. but it is that kind of like strange kind of steampunk kind of vibe to it. So like Electric Bastion, Into the Odd would be good kind of engines to run this with. And again, lots and lots of tables. So again, it starts off with a rumors for the city, which this is kind of the lore, and it's presented as a rumors table, 1 through 50. Now this table here, these 50 rumors are further in this, take up this whole book, The Legends of Krshal, and kind of like they're extrapolated on here. And it's just tons of like really great ideas. Lots of cool stuff. You know, the different towers, names for NPCs, 12 sinister sorcerers. Here are the difference engines. Different 6-shooters, 50 drunkards. There's also a theme of like the dead and catacombs. Like this is a city built on top of ruins. 20 ghoul mothers. There's vampires in here. Different gods. Let me get to the map here section, so that you can see the different levels. So this is kind of a dungeon city. But it's just kind of, it's an abstract. It's a way for you to kind of build this out into your own kind of thing. But there's enough stuff referenced throughout here that works together in a really cohesive way. The last book, The Tombs of Krshal, kind of focus on the kind of catacombs and the dead and the different crypts and things you could explore. Different vampires. Rumors about the labyrinth. About the rats, about the dead. 10 mysterious coffins. Strange undead dead creatures. And you could use these books even if you didn't use the setting itself. There's tons of good ideas in here. Worth looking at. The final book here is just one of his newer ones. And I don't own all of this stuff. He's got other books, but this is just kind of a magic item book. You know, 6 magical crowns, potions, droplets, chalices, unholy tracts, demonic names. Really great stuff to use. And then there's 100 rumors at the back here that are just really terrific ideas for any kind of adventuring in any kind of fantasy setting. So, worth a look. Albert Rakowski. If you are interested in any of it, like these are on sale throughout February of 2025. I'll put a link below in the description. Thanks.